Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, breadwinners, thread spinners, and all those in between, you're now watching the TNF podcast with your favorite bipolar rock and roller, Mr. J. Curtis Strickland. Do me a favor, click on that like button, click on the subscribe button, click on the little bell for notifications, comment, share, do all that stuff, and that would greatly help increase in the algorithm. Okay, so I want to talk about some upcoming shows. Taking a little break, Mother's Day. Go hang out with your mom, do nice things with your mom. Sunday. Let's see here. So the 19th of May, we got Carl Severson from Nora Ferret Records, and we've got John Cuccinello from OS 101 Murphy's Law. That's going to be on the 26th of May at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard. We just added Alex Weissman from Blackest Dawn. That's going to be on the what is that? The 2nd of June. That's going to be at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard. And Dan Zimmerman from Harvest, that's going to be on the 9th of June at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard. Harvest and Hope Conspiracy, both great freaking bands. And as you can see here on the bill, the bottom there, the Hell's Heart merch company, please support. Go to hellsheartco.bigcartel.com. Use the code 20 for 20% off your entire order. So anything you order in the store is going to be 20% off for the whole thing. So that's a great savings. I'm going to throw up some samples here real quick. Do it at the top of the hour so people that are in the stream can see some. We got the Black Flag mock. We've got the Steve McQueen bullet. We've got the Psycho 2. And we've got the Scream Tatum Glow in the Dark. Check that one out. And then the Scream Randy Glow in the Dark. So check those out. Buy. That would be awesome. Okay, so our next guest is a returning guest. He is the front man of such legendary hardcore acts such as the SPUDMONSTERS, Run Devil Run, Lifeline, One Life All In. Who am I missing? Foose, just the Foose solo project, right?
Me, yeah.
Yeah. And I know he's just got a slew, a bunch of good musical projects going on. Um, Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, Mr. Don Foose. What's going on, man?
Thanks for having me,
Hare,
brother. Good to
Hare
see you.
Krishna,
Hare Krishna,
Vanchakalpa.
Panchakalpa.
Yeah, so what's been going on with you, man?
Uh, Not a lot musically, just life's been sending me through the ringer, and I'm, just kicking each day, going, grinding, that's it. But, I'm still pushing the book, my book, Motivate Me. And then, Raw Life, as always, I'm always pimping
Yeah, we've been doing some work on the book.
Yeah, you're a blessing, man. Like, you did the audio chapter, and that was like really cool. And we want to get the whole book on audio because it just hits, like in a different way when you hear it. And you're such a good narrator. It's amazing. I can't do it.
Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate
Yeah,
that.
thank
Yeah,
you.
it was a real honor and privilege to be able to, um, just become such a great friend to me to be able to, do that favor for you because
You too,
it,
man. So
yeah. Well, I mean, it helps me too, because with the vocal acting stuff, it's like, it only makes sense, and it's like, let's see here, scared. RDR reunion, he says.
that
Yeah,
hey, I would love to do a Run Devil Run reunion. Go play Europe and just that would be amazing. I love Run Devil Run. I miss
dude,
those guys and playing the songs.
somebody make that happen.
Yeah,
That would be
somebody make
great.
it happen.
You got to do US though too.
Yeah, that would be cool. If we got on the right bill, that would be awesome. Man, get out with the right band and hit it hard. I would love to do that.
What who would it feature though? Would it be like an OG lineup or would it be
Probably Kevin Roberts playing guitar. I would imagine Richie would play drums. Sri Mala probably would end up playing bass because Mike skis full time with his tattoo shop. You
Yeah.
know, um, I don't know, maybe Nate Black playing second guitar or something. Who knows?
I mean, we got to make it happen, man.
I would love
Let's
to.
see here. Garrett says, "No, Europe first."
You're up first. Okay, Garrett, we'll be there. he's got
Europe
a
would
he's got
prob
a run double run tattoo. He can say stuff like this.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, Europe would probably make more sense anyway, just because they
Yeah,
pay more, like, and they just they love like, and I mean, to talk about those Run Double Run albums. I remember I was in Japan whenever Sinking Deeper was released through Victory, and remember seeing it at where was it? Tower Records in Tokyo. It was wild. I was like, oh
yeah,
wow,
because it was distributed through Howling Bull Records in Japan and China.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, so
yeah.
that's how we got distributed there. But that was licensed through Victory or Ice Cream Records. I can't remember who made that licensing deal, but it's pretty cool. But hey, man, that first album, The Killing
Killing
Civilization, I'll tell you about
Civilization.
that, man.
Okay.
Me and Kevin Roberts and Mike Ski and Richie Furjanic, we got together um, over a weekend and we wrote that whole album in 3 days. It's like 12 songs in 3 days. That's unheard of, like
Yeah.
put all the music together. I wrote lyrics over a couple weeks. We recorded, and then we were over in Europe touring with Propane, doing like a
Oh,
40 show tour, like
wow.
right away. We shot 3 music videos, and we went over and played the Dynamo Open Air Festival with Metallica, and SOD played on that. I think All Out War was on that. Marauder. It
Oh,
was all
damn.
kinds of bands. Madball. It's really cool. I
That's
think that was
awesome.
'99.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Curtis Russ says, "Foo, Spuds forever."
Ah, that's my dude. Yeah, Spud Rock, baby.
And
I can't
Mr.
see anything. My eyes
Anthony
are
Michael
shot.
Pine says, "Sexiest singer ever."
Oh, from the sexiest drummer ever, Chub Rock. I love Chubs.
uh,
My dude.
Chubb's in the house.
I'll tell you what, his band
Yep.
Heavyweight and One Life Crew, they're both, man, just absolutely amazing. They're the Murdario Stomp, man. You can't, they can't go
There's a
wrong with
lot
that.
of bands that have been playing that for like an intro to their sets. I mean, it,
Oh
it
yeah, I
hits
see it.
so
I
hard,
see it. It's the best intro ever. I love
Yep,
it.
I agree. To speak of Madball, it was inspired by Madball's "Set It Off." Not
Yeah.
Murdario Stomp, but the whatever leads up to it.
Right, right. And
So
even Cro-Mag's Age of Quarrel, we gotta know that.
yeah,
That's kind of like the intro of all intros there, and then everything
yeah,
kind of dovetailed into that.
yeah. Do we said DOA 99 in Mierlo. Yeah, I mean, to go back to what you were saying about Japan, um, yeah, being in Japan was like such a blessing because it was like being in a time warp as far as like hardcore and like punk rock is concerned. I mean, like
Yeah,
they loved all the shit that you know was prolific in like the 80s and 90s. Like they ate that shit up,
yeah,
super into it and just super like just grateful, just almost like meek in a way, and just very like inquisitive almost. Like I saw Saves the Day play there,
oh
and
really?
like yeah, it was wild. It was in Tokyo, I think. Did you ever go there with any band? Japan?
No, we were
No.
scheduled. We were supposed to go on tour. Something happened at the last minute. We ended up doing another European tour. It's like we had been to Europe so many times, but yeah, Japan it was like 2 weeks before we were supposed to go. It got canceled.
I caught Saves the Day at some club in, I want to say, Shibuya, Tokyo,
Hmm.
where that Tower Records was actually. And they were just like super enthusiastic whenever the band was playing. And
Yeah,
then whenever whenever they would stop playing and Chris from Saves the Day would be speaking, they would be you could hear a pin drop in there.
silent.
It was
Yeah.
insane. And this was even like for bigger concerts too. Like I caught who was it? Eminem and D12 there. And it was like, once the music was going, the whole like crowd was going crazy. But then when he would just start talking, dead silent. It's the weirdest, most bizarre show going experience I think
Uh,
ever.
I
Aside
noticed
from
that
going to like a Guar concert, maybe.
my first few European tours, I noticed that mostly in the Eastern Bloc of Europe, or where there was, you know, communism, uh, they like to listen. They want to hear what the leader is saying up on stage. So everyone's very attentive. So it's like odd seeing that. Never, you know, witnessing anything like that before. But then seeing it, I'm like, wow, man, somebody say E.F. Hutton or something, it was like really odd.
Uh,
You're
similar
too young.
customs and courtesies.
Yeah.
Uh, uh, Tony Pine says, writes my lyrics. Need to meet up. I need help. Foose Tario.
Let's do it.
uh, Steven Richnavsky. Donnie is still little guy. Your brother Blue.
That's my dude. Yeah.
Nice.
Nice.
Very cool. Um,
Blue.
yeah, I mean, it was just such an interesting phenomena, and it was really kind of wish I could have stayed there longer to explore like the hardcore scene that was like that I was starting to discover there. Like I really wanted to be able to kind of stick around for that because they had some like really interesting stuff going on.
Yeah, yeah. Heck yeah, man.
One of your guys ended up playing in some Japanese band, no?
Yeah, Kevin Foley, the drummer from One Life All In's playing with some band over there, which we're really not supposed to talk about, but so I
Oh,
don't. But for whatever reason, the band that he's with wants it to keep on the reps that who he's with, so it's all good. But
gotcha,
he's an amazing
gotcha.
drummer. I love him, man. He's an amazing drummer. Everybody wants him to play in their band.
Yeah, I mean, I watched a few of their videos and it was just like really solid musicianship, like just really like, tight and coordinated and I was impressed. I was like I can see why this band is like doing huge stadiums like in places, it's like pretty
Yeah,
incredible.
right on.
And like interestingly enough, you were telling me a story about how you were at one time a member of Mushroom Head. Is that correct?
Well, I used to live with Jeff Hatrix, the singer of Mushroom Head, and he was going to do a side project because it was at the time where he got kicked out of the band Purgatory and started his own band Hatrix, and then he wanted to do a side project from that, and he wanted it to be kind of Mr. Bungle meets Frank Zappa meets the Crumbsuckers, just a real eclectic, crazy, hardcore
It's quite a
metal.
mix.
Yeah, a real yeah, real mix and mash. So he put an ad in the paper looking for musicians, guitarists, and drummer and everything. And me and Scott from the Spud Monsters were like, "Yeah, man, let's do this. It'll be fun." So we went and had like a couple practices, and you know, uh, but the Spuds started getting stuff. Our schedule started filling up, and I was like, "I can't do this, dude. So find whoever." So he ended up getting Jason Popson from some band called Unified Culture, who he ended up being Jeff's alter ego singer, the other singer in Mushroom Head. And then Skinny, the drummer from Hatrix, ended up playing drums in Mushroom Head and still does. And they just kind of developed their own thing. And the Spud Monsters at the time, we were we would do these shows, and once in a while we'd throw masks on just to be different. And every show kind of had a theme, and people would always come out like, "What are the Spuds going to do next?" We'd come out. Our guitarist Chris, he was bald, and he had the hair on the sides though, so he kind of looked like the old man, and he had a
Like the
mustache.
Skullet,
Yeah,
like the
yeah,
Skullet. You ever
yeah.
do you know
So
the band Strapping Young Lad, Devin Townsend?
right, right.
That guy rocked like this mad Skullet, man. Like
Yeah, they were on Century
he was
Media.
yeah,
But
yeah.
Chris Andrews, our guitarist, I went and got all these bald head masks, and
Yeah.
we didn't tell him we were doing it. So as we were going on stage, we're all putting our bald heads on and put the little fake mustache. So we did a show dressed like Chris and stuff, and he gets out there playing, and he's like, "What the hell's going on?" Yeah. So every time we go on stage, it was something new and exciting and different. We had masks on, And after a while, it started getting a little too gimmicky for us. We were just like, we're getting away from that. So we gave all of our masks to the guys in Mushroom Head, and they did their
Oh,
very first show
wow.
using our old masks.
No way.
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
That
Yeah,
is wild. That is a wild story.
yeah.
Victoria Lynn says, Foose.
Victoria, hey, right here,
Oh, he's got something.
infomercial.
Info.
Victoria's body butter. This stuff's amazing.
Oh, we're doing
She
some
sells
advertising here.
shea butter, shea cocoa blend.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah, look up
Nice.
Victoria's body butter on the internet. It's great. Plugs to
You
you.
hear you hear it here. You got to do it.
Yeah.
You got to do it. What
I'm
what else is sold by Victoria's line? Do you know?
pretty sure it's just the body butter. She's got the
Oh, okay.
mango butter and then the shea butter. It's
Nice.
really great. My
Um,
construction hands rely on that kind of stuff.
she says, "Hell yeah, thank you." Well, thank you.
Right. Word up.
Um, yeah, I mean, international hardcore scenes just seem to be really, I don't know, like more appreciative. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Once somebody in Europe likes your band, you're locked in for life.
Yeah.
They still listen to Metal Church over there, and they all listen to Merciful Fate and all that stuff, all the metal, and they all still listen to the early
Mayhem,
hardcore bands, the punk
and
bands.
like Mayhem and Burzum and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
yeah. So it's like the big festivals. It's a big mix of everything. You have Madball playing, but then King Diamond's playing, same
Yeah.
stage. So it's just like really wild, and then Faith No More's playing and Ozzy's over here and then you got death metal and grindcore. And they all love it and they
Yeah.
all stick around for everything and they support.
Yeah, it's interesting because you can get those kind of eclectic mixes that you used to be able to get like in the 80s and 90s, like I would even say more so the 90s. They definitely diverged and did like a lot of different genre shows. Um, so that kind of happens at like the bigger festivals there and yeah, you could have, oh, I don't know, who's like a really like small obscure band. You could have like a really kind of like, I don't really know how to describe this, like just a band that wouldn't be as big here, but then they go over there and they're just
Oh
like
yeah, and then they blow
completely
up.
like, yeah.
It was funny because our very first European tour when I was in the Spud Monsters, we got to tour with Biohazard on the Urban Discipline tour when they were like totally blowing up. They had been over there a couple times already with Creator and Mucky Pup and stuff. Now Urban Discipline came out and they were huge. And our very first show was in a big airport hangar and it was a couple thousand people and it was nuts. And on that tour was a little band nobody ever heard of called Clutch from Virginia.
Oh
And
yeah.
we're just like, who are these dudes? And they're playing and the crowd didn't seem like they were into them. They just kind of stood there and were trying to figure them out. And I thought, oh, these poor guys, man, they're all quiet and they're nice and everything. And the music sounded great to me and our drummer. We both loved it. And we're like, oh, why aren't the people getting into this? And we just thought, oh, these guys, they might go back to the States after that tour and maybe, just kind of continue on. But dude, they blew up. They came back to the States. They got huge. Then they went back to Europe and got really big. But that first tour was kind of rough for them, man. People paid attention to them, but they weren't like dancing for them and like really taking them in that first tour. You know?
Huh. Interesting. I would have thought they would have kind of like been already familiar with them and then like kind of set it off for them even more so.
No, that was their very first tour. We met them. They were super nice guys, but really quiet. They kind of kept to themselves. And then the type of band the Spud Monsters is, like we'd get on stage and be going crazy. We were all flipping into the crowd, and the crowd be going crazy. It was nuts. It was just total chaos. But the crowd would have react like that for Biohazard. But when Clutch played, I think it was more of a hardcore crowd, and Clutch had more of a Monster Magnet sound, like kind of stoner rock, but heavy. But man, they were so good, dude, and
Yeah.
we loved it. But yeah,
Yeah,
that first
yeah.
tour seemed a little bit.
Garrett says, what about Lifeline? What is it?
Yeah.
one-time album thing?
Yeah, that was one time. That was me and Robert Ehrenbrand from Boy Sets Fire. We did a Krishna conscious like album, you know, and I think I had. Oh, here it's right here. Let me PSA number two. This is the Lifeline album with Gorny Tie on it.
Oh,
This is
nice.
one of my favorite albums of all time. This kind of has a Misfits feel to it, maybe a little Pennywise
Yeah.
flow, but also just total hardcore, like right in your face, straight edge style. I love this album, man, and I would absolutely love to tour Europe again with this. And those guys are great, man. Robert and Flo, man. Oh man, we had a blast.
I
We
mean,
did one European tour. And it was awesome.
it is a really good album, and the shame is that it's hard to find like streaming and stuff. Like I went on YouTube and like looked everywhere, and it's like sending me every which way.
Well, YouTube
Like,
has the album. You just have to put in Lifeline Civil Disobedience, and the whole album comes up.
oh, okay, you
Because
can't just
somebody
put in
said
like
they were having a hard
Lifeline
time
band.
finding it last week, and I sent it to them, so it's on
Oh,
there.
okay, okay. Uh, I'll be
Yeah,
sure to post that in the comments for links.
yeah. But the band, you
Playlist
know, that I'm in
YouTube.
now, One Life All In. These are the two of the latest albums we did. This one, the Letter of Forgiveness album, really like one of my favorites that I've ever done. Period, like bar none, man. It's this is real powerful. And then our brand new one out on Fast Break Records. Uh, I had the Storm. This one, like every song's got its own character. You know, like one song sounds like Youth of Today with the total like mosh parts and the breakdowns, build ups, and everything. And then next song, you know, it's got like a more crossover groove, madball type vibe to it and stuff. And then other stuff kind of sounds like Faith No More or whatever. You know, it's like it's all over the place, but it's really cool and it flows well.
Garrett had said tour with Lifeline would be great too.
Yeah, let's do
And
it.
then Victoria Lynn says, "Hell yeah, great albums. Foose rocks."
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I really enjoyed that album. Like I said, I felt like it was kind of like hard to find, and Jagannath Puri really kind of introduced me to that album. And I'm like, oh, this is really good. It's
Oh
got the
yeah,
guy
yeah,
from Boy Sets Fire in
awesome.
it too. Word. Yeah. It was good. Yeah. That would be
Well, that was
interesting.
another project that I did that just kind of like manifested over the internet. So I was on tour with Foose over in Europe, and we played in Germany. Where was that? Where Hitler used to do his big speeches. Can't remember what city that was. But Robert from Boy Sets Fire came out to the show. He's like, "Oh man, I really love your band. You know, Spud Monsters. I grew up on you guys." And we became friends. He's like, I'm into Eastern philosophy now, and I gave him some of Prabhupada's books, and we would correspond with each other. And then he's like, man, we should do a song together, you know, just have do something for fun. We did one song, and it sounded like Filter. The band Filter was kind of
Oh wow.
industrialish, and it was a
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
cool song. And then that was it. And then like maybe a month later, I said, send me something a little bit more hardcore, and he did, and it was awesome. So he started sending me more songs, and they kind of ended up being more in that Lifeline vibe. And I just kept writing lyrics, putting vocals down, sent it back to him. We collaborated back and forth like that, and we did that whole album pretty quick. And then decided, hey, it would be a sin for us to not do some shows. So flew over there and we did some shows, and that was really awesome. We had a blast.
Nice. All right. Yeah. The Krishna conscious excuse me, Krishna conscious projects out there are, I think they're kind of really starting to, get like a second life, like you've got what's the band? Back to Godhead out there like doing
Yeah,
stuff. Shelter's still kind of kicking, right?
yeah, yeah. They
Yeah.
just played recently,
Oh, okay. Where was that?
New York, I think.
Oh, well, that
I knew
makes
of
sense.
somebody that went out to the show.
Nice.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, it's really kind of interesting to see like a resurgence of that again, and eh, to kind of you know, seg into that as far as kind of the state of the world today and like kind of the progression into Kali Yuga, which if those of you that are Chromax fans know is the age of quarrel. Um, how do you feel like Krishna consciousness may be received within these next, oh, I don't know, few years, maybe next decade or so. Just kind of based on like what we've got going with like all the like, the geopolitical situations and like elections and like all sorts of crazy stuff, inflation. What do you think's going to transpire as far as it's going to is concerned? You think there's going to be a resurgence in that?
Well, we just had our Rath Yatra yesterday, and it was amazing, dude. There were hundreds of people there, and it was off the hook. And people were so receptive, and they were like, "Oh, where's your literature?" And we had a devotee there handing out Science and Self-Realizations and Bhagavad Gitas, and people were like, "Oh, this is great." And they're like, "Oh, we had such a misconception about what the Hare Krishnas were all about. We had a misconception about, you know, religion in general, whenever they heard Hare Krishna or whatever." So I think people are just looking for something tangible that they can take into their lives and, have a lifestyle that gives them hope. So like Prabhupada's teachings are like so great. It just teaches you to live simply, live humble, um, don't accumulate too many material things that, like we don't want to be materialistic and materially minded, like, because when it's all said and done, we're leaving it all behind anyway. So
Mhm.
the thing is, you have to educate ourselves. Hey, we're not this material body, we're a spirit soul. And the purpose of life isn't collecting things. The purpose of life is to reconnect. The word religion is a Greek word that I believe the Greek word is called religio, or realign, realign, our lost relationship with God. It's like
Interesting.
when a plant's uprooted, it dies. So we got to be reconnected and get watered from that higher place.
Re Realignment.
Yeah.
Interesting. Religion.
Yeah,
This is
religion's
what's
got
so.
a bad negative connotation. It's not
Well,
bad.
yeah, but I mean, like you think about some of these like yoga communities, it's all about alignment, and but then there's like this adversity to religion at the same time, So it's like, oh, but actually, religion means, this word realign, it's
Yeah.
got
Well,
the same
people
connotation to it.
people see religious processes as bashing you over the head. You can't do this. You can't do that. What are you smiling
Right.
for? Stop it. And it's not that. It's like there's, uh, there's rules and regulations if you want to stay on the road. And those rules and regulations are like bumpers on the side of a road that keep you from falling off. If you, take intoxication or eat, death, then, this is going to drag your consciousness south or whatever. So it's like
Yeah.
all it's doing is helping you formulate your consciousness to be more purified.
Right.
It helps you to realign with the divine.
Well, yeah, and a lot of them seem to think that there's like this a, level of like oppression, that like, oh, you're being forced to do this or you have to do this or you have to do that, and it's like I don't want to say it's like a reductive way of looking at it, but you know that's not what Krishna consciousness preaches. They preach that, hey, just start to add Krishna into your life. You might not be able to fully renounce all the things of the material world initially.
Yeah,
Maybe do it in like a gradation. Like
yeah, it's
little
voluntary.
by little.
That's what love is.
Yeah.
So like if somebody forces you to do something, that's not love. That's more like dictatorship.
Right.
So we have free will. That's why we're in this material world. We wanted to enjoy apart from Krishna, from God. So we're here. We have free will. Now it's how do we use it? Do we use it? It's called yukta vairagya. So, this glass could be used for just drinking water or filling it up with water in some plants, doing something good. Or it could be used for smashing somebody over the head with it, and then that's not good. Yukta vairagya means to include Krishna in every activity, in what we have. If we have a knife, We cut up fruits and vegetables to offer to Krishna. Or we could stab somebody, you know. So Yukta Vairagya means
Shank.
with God, and the other way is without.
It's true.
It's true.
Let's see here.
Who's this?
Hi Don, great time a few weeks ago at the Purgatory show.
Oh yeah, Jeff's band Purgatory played. Man, they were awesome. Purgatory from the '80s, man. What a great band. They played that Kurt. I saw that Kurt dude there, man. He was awesome. I hadn't seen him in forever.
That's Jeff Hatrix.
Jeff Hatrix, Jeffrey Nothing from Mushroomhead. That was his original band, Purgatory. They were on Auburn Records. What a great record label this was from Cleveland. They had bands like Purgatory, Shock Paris, Destructor, Breaker, like amazing bands, man. They had Black Death, just awesome, awesome bands. Like that was Cleveland's music scene. Everybody was on Auburn Records by Bill Peters. Man, and this dude, Bill Peters, amazing, man. He's had this radio show, college radio show since 1984, I believe, 83 or 84, and he's still like, what's that, 40 years, dude? He's been on there, and still, like this last Friday, he had a great show. He's always, it's unbelievable.
This is a Cleveland based radio station.
Yeah, college radio for 40 years. He never misses a week. He's been doing it for 40 years. And then we got great radio stations here. Like there's a guy, Big Bry, that does Rockstar Radio, and then there's Kenny Kidd, who he does Kidtastrophe Radio right here in Cleveland. And Pat Butler's got his show on WMMS with, what's his guy's name? Alex, I can't remember his name off the top of my head. But Cleveland's got like this great scene, and like they support their local bands like you wouldn't believe.
Oh yeah, I mean, I have nothing but love for the Cleveland scene. I mean, just everybody I've met out of there, has been just super
Oh,
awesome, super like.
Alan Cox, I didn't want to forget that. That's my friend Pat Butler's band show with him. I think
Oh,
it's
okay.
called 2 Hours to Midnight. I think it's called their radio show. It's pretty awesome.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean, everybody in like the Cleveland scene that I have interacted with virtually has been like, just like super solid type people. And I was gonna ask this question, like, if there was one Cleveland band you could see come back, who would it be? Cleveland hardcore band.
I love this band called False Hope. A lot of people don't even know of them, but they were so good, dude. Scum, the guitar player, he was on the first Integrity album. I love the way he writes, man. His riffs were just so great, and that band False Hope was just really cool. Um, yeah, man, that would be great. But Dave Araka was a drummer. He died. He had an aneurysm one night in his sleep, and he passed away. And once he passed away, the band never played again. But False Hope's probably the answer right there. I love that band. They were awesome.
Nice.
But
Who are some like underrated Cleveland hardcore bands that people should know about?
well, if you're into like the Misfits, man, there's a band here called the Manimals, and oh my God, so good.
What a fun.
Larry the Wolf, he's a friend of mine. He's the singer and bass player, and the Manimals, they were like the Misfits Junior or whatever, but he's like big bodybuilder type guy. He had this big devil lock, and like he fit the bill, man. But they were really really awesome. And there was a band called Committed. They were like Youth of Today Junior. They were a really awesome band too, man. No, not too many people speak about them, but back in the day, they were really something else too.
The Manimals, wasn't that from, it was like Battlefield Earth or like The Island of Dr. Moreau. It was one of those two movies. They used a term that was like
Yeah,
Manimals or
right.
Man Animals or something like that.
Yeah, and all their songs were kind of like associated with those old movies. They have a song called White Zombie, and
Oh,
then
yeah.
Island of Lost Souls. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
White Zombie. Nobody knows that.
yeah, right.
Um Yeah, tour with okay. So, um, now, you know, growing up in Cleveland, I don't know if I asked this question the last time you were on, but like, did you have music going on in your house? Like, were you like privy to having good records and, having cool parents when it came to, you being involved in like music?
Yeah, my mom turned me on to like all that old stoner rock, the old Vietnam era rock and roll, Jefferson Airplane and
CCR.
all that. Yeah, all that stuff, and even Jimi Hendrix and the Doors and stuff like that. That was all played in my house, and I loved it. I would just had these big old cans I put on and listen to stuff, and I'd be all the time. I loved it.
That's awesome. Were you a
Yeah.
Black Sabbath guy ever?
Yeah. I was probably in seventh grade, sixth grade, seventh grade, whenever I first heard Sabbath. I loved it.
Mm.
It was so heavy, it was so dark, but there was just something about Ozzy's voice that really blew me away. And
Was
it
like
was
an acquired.
Paranoid. The song
Oh, it
Paranoid,
was Paranoid.
first
Oh,
song I heard
nice.
that. This is
That,
amazing.
that song's kind of got like a punk feel to it, you know?
A little bit, yeah.
It's wild. Like it I went and they actually had an official music video, and it was from like a in studio performance that they did, not with people, but strictly for the video. It was just like them playing live.
And
And yeah, I
Electric
really
Funeral too, man.
what's that?
That song Electric Funeral was so odd to me and cool. The time
Oh
change,
yeah, yeah.
very
Yeah, I
modern.
mean they definitely had kind of like a proto punk like feel to them definitely. Yeah,
Yeah.
Paranoid, such a great jam. Y-
War Pigs, all that. I was like, it was new to me. Something like that, it was deep. And
uh
then, Van Halen. I love Van Halen and stuff like that. Those early Van Halen albums, Women and Children First, man, so amazing.
Ramon says Stop the Madness cover is amazing.
Stop the Madness. Oh, yeah. So that's an interesting story. When we signed with Massacre Records, we didn't have anybody to do our artwork or anything. And they said, don't worry about it. This guy over in Europe, he did the Creator album covers, all these metal bands. And we got this guy, and I can't remember his first name, but his last name was Marshall. So he did this big painting of like all these killer potato guys, spud guys, which I always thought was kind of goofy, but at the same time, it was very marketable. So when we would sell shirts, we had that little spud guy. People ate it up, man. We sold so much merch. It was wild. So it was very marketable, but kind of cheesy at the same time. But whatever.
You had a shirt with the actual potato guys on it?
Yeah, yeah.
Do you still
Well,
have any? Like,
the
could you
little
find them?
spud guy. I don't.
What's
I
that?
don't have any. But the little Spud guy is holding his gun. It's smoking, and Spud's McKenzie's brains are blown out up against a wall, and it says there's only room for one Spud in Cleveland, Ohio. So that shirt sold so much. People loved
Dude,
it.
that is great. That needs to make a resurgence. Like, we need to find some way to print some of these up. That would be
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah.
Somebody needs to.
As goofy as it is, it was also kind of cool. It's kind of like you remember when the Crumb Suckers came out, the band from New York. It was
Yeah. Yeah, Chuck
such a
Leonard.
great band. And they were out on Combat Core Records back in the day, but the crumb sucker guy, it was just this dude on all fours, sucking up crumbs. That's kind of what the Spud Monster guy looked like. He was just animated dude, but like the band mascot.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. That's cool,
But
man.
but that album cover, the Stop the Madness album cover, that Marshall dude, he did it where these spuds are holding the cut off heads of like Bon Jovi and Vince Neil and I think Mick Jagger, all this stuff. I'm like, what the hell is this? And at first, his initial drawing was he had Lemmy's head cut off too. We're like, no, you can't do Lemmy, man. Fuck that, you know. So
Now
he
let me seem like he was pretty legit.
Lemmy was always been good in my book. I always liked Lemmy.
Did you
Love Lemmy.
guys ever play with Motorhead?
Yeah, we did a big
Really?
huge show. Here, I'll show you this in the book. We did this big show in Cleveland. We did a few shows with him actually, but look at that flyer. Spud Monsters, Motorhead, and Wargasm from Boston.
Oh wow.
That was a huge show at the Cleveland Agora Theater, a couple thousand people. That was amazing. And we were playing at the end of our set. I guess we went like 5 minutes over, and Mickey D, their drummer, who now plays in the Scorpions, he was like, "These guys got to get off." You know, he's bitching at our stage manager. Tell these guys get off. You know, we got to go on. He wanted to get his band out there, and Lemmy was standing there, and our stage manager overheard Lemmy tell him, he goes, "Look at this crowd. They love these kids. They love these kids. Let them play as long as they want." So that was like really cool. We got Lemmy's,
I
you
was
know,
just
approval.
I was just about to say, like, what is he like as a person? Like, was he cool? Was he
He was just really down to earth, really nice. I met him, asked him a bunch of questions. He had all the time in the world for me, and just a class act, you know. And I heard, I can't remember. There was some black kid that wanted to be a guitar player, and somebody was mocking him or something, and Lemmy stood up for the kid, and I thought that was like really cool. That
ah,
yeah, and he encouraged the kid or whatever. You know, I heard the story. It was just pretty cool.
that's dope, man. Yeah, no, he seems like he's a really like he'd be a pretty genuine down to earth guy, you know? Like it just seems like,
Yeah,
you know, he has that persona of like, you know, hard living and whatnot, but it doesn't come at the expense of like, you know, giving up, you know, being a good person or anything like that, you know? Like that's a
yeah.
pretty solid move, you know?
Yeah, I'm sure his liver looked like a 1920s catcher's mitt, you know, the way he was drinking. But, you know, he was a great dude, though. Really nice, all around guy, man.
Yeah, I
And a
don't
lot of
doubt it.
bands, he wrote a lot of songs for bands. A lot of people don't know that, but he was a songwriter. He'd sell his songs off to big bands, you know.
I'm trying to think of like who would he have written songs for?
He
I don't
did
know.
stuff with Ozzy. He did stuff with Lita Ford. He did stuff with, I think, with Metallica, even bit some of his stuff, even, you know.
Interesting. I didn't know that. Um,
Yeah.
he did he has appeared on the soundtrack of have you ever seen the movie Tromeo and Juliet?
No.
Okay, so James Gunn, who directs the Guardians of the Galaxy movies, he used to work for a production company called Troma. And Troma was they did like these campy B like horror type movies and um they were always like cheesy as hell and like one of them was like Toxic Avenger. God, what this is one called Sergeant Kabuki Man, but they had this one called Tromeo and Juliet, and it was basically like they would have all this weird shit like monsters and like you know like the you know Toxic Avenger falls in a vat of toxic waste, you know, and then is like this
Yeah.
horribly horrific monster. So that's kind of what you can expect with this movie, but it's like a play on um Romeo and Juliet with just like crazy like puppets that are like weird and ugly looking. And Lemmy does the intro to that movie and is kind of like the narrator like throughout it. He's like the bard or whatever, you know, and it's like
Uh,
really awesome because it's got like a Motorhead soundtrack, you know, and like it really and you'd be disturbed if you watched it and then you were like, this guy directed Guardians of the Galaxy. I could show these movies to my kids, you know. Yeah, tell him
funny.
not to go backwards in the filmography of James Gunn. Not not yet. Um yeah, so you know kind of back to I guess Krishna consciousness,
Yeah.
um you know we were talking about like Kali Yuga and like how things are kind of like steadily declining, but we're kind of starting to see like little aspects here and there of people coming to the Rath Yatras and things like that. um do you think that we will ever be like I don't know, the eras of the 60s and the 70s where it was like, going to, you know, I guess big gatherings and things like that. I mean, I guess they do that, but it's on so much of a smaller scale now. I mean, you really used to see like Sankirtan devotees like everywhere. You think that's going to be like a big thing again?
They still do it. Maybe they don't do it in your town or whatever, but I mean, they do it everywhere. There's always Sankirtan going on. You know.
I mean, like at bigger like events and stuff. Like, do
Yeah,
they go to like Coachella and
yeah. There's always book distributors going to all the. You remember like
oh,
the
the
Van,
bigger ones? Oh,
yeah,
okay.
Vans Warped
I
Tours and stuff like that.
I didn't know if they let them do like um
Yeah, a lot of the
Sankirtan
festivals
there.
usually embrace it because it's all about peace and love and all that
Yeah.
stuff. The devotees usually cook for everybody too, so they usually
Yeah,
get them in the door.
that's yeah, that's true. Well, and okay, yeah, to speak on that, I mean, but this goes back to Europe, them kind of being receptive to, kind of different things over in Europe, like, Eastern religions and what have you.
Yeah,
So Polish Woodstock, I worked that, and it was, I mean, there were so many bands there. The only one I knew was Atari Teenage Riot, and I knew that because they toured in the 90s with Wu-Tang Clan and Rage Against the Machine, and I saw them in like 97, and like it was huge, but like the guy that ran it was like a devotee, and he
mm.
would have the devotees
Gatita
come out.
Das. His
What's
name's
that?
Gatita. His name is Gatita. I know him.
Oh, is it? Oh, okay.
Yep, great guy, great
Yeah,
devotee.
I think I met him like maybe for a brief minute or something like that. But yeah, no, a super solid. And then they have the
Yeah,
devotees there like cooking, and they got this big pot, and you got to stir the big pot
with the
around,
big
and it's
paddle.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's awesome.
You've done it?
Yeah,
Oh, okay. The Russians would be like, they'd be like, you are going to be on big pot. It's like, all right.
thank you.
They said your shift will be 4 hours, and I'm like, it doesn't sound too bad, And I'm sitting here
Yeah,
and like I'm like I'm stirring away, and it's like these big, I don't know what they are, like text. They're not like TVP. They're like these
yeah,
big
right.
like
They soak it
something.
in water and inflate
Yeah,
it. Yeah, it
yeah,
is
yeah.
PvP.
But oh yeah, okay, yeah, that's right. Trying to stir that after a while, it's just so like
I know, so dense.
yeah, you might as well be stirring into concrete.
Yeah, right. That's
That's
great.
funny. Yeah, so what else has been going on, man? Like what are you doing as far as like, your media consumption is concerned? Like what are you watching? What are you reading? What are you
Not
doing?
really into watching anything. Like uh, we just wrote a new "One Life All In" song, which I think it's really cool. This past year or so, Franco, our bass player, has been building a house in France, and he hasn't had the time to do anything. It's kind of like a good break for all of us to let our heads breathe a little bit.
Sure.
And then, the guys, Franco couldn't come to America when we did those shows on the East Coast, but Clem came over, our guitarist, and then
Yeah.
Michelle, our second guitarist, he came over, and then, we had Srimala fill in on bass and Coco playing drums. So that was
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
we really want to get out and play some shows. We want to do some stuff in Europe, and it's just a matter of time till because we're supposed to play some Revolution Calling Festival. I think it's in October or November, and I'd like to book some other shows around it. At that time. So that's kind of what's next for the band. Yeah.
Nice. Excellent. But you ain't been reading or nothing?
I read Bhagavad Gita all the time, and it's funny, you read Bhagavad Gita, you go back and you read it again, you have totally new realizations every time you read it, and you're like, I don't even remember reading that the last time.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's
That's
the great
that's
thing
kind of
about
great.
Shastra.
You know, the essence of the Gita. Hang on, let me do my telemarketing.
All right, do it.
The Bhagavad Gita, as it is,
Yeah.
the original, unchanged edition.
Jai Prabhupada.
Yeah. Yeah, I
That
mean,
book
it's
changed
interesting.
my life. That,
Yeah.
that, you know, you read stuff in there that, that's one thing, it's like when I got into the music scene, started touring all around the world, I'm seeing stuff throughout 23 countries, just blown away. And then the one thing that really blows my mind over everything I've seen in the world is one night when I meet John Joseph backstage when the Spud Monsters are going on tour with the Cro-Mags, our very first show. And I meet him and he's talking philosophy to some kid backstage. And he's talking about reincarnation and karma and meditation and why he doesn't take intoxication. And this kid, I could tell this kid, I think he was homosexual. So he was asking, oh, what does your religion think about homosexuality and stuff? John was like really loving and caring. And, it wasn't like some beat your head over the scripture response. It was just very fulfilling, the things he had to say. And everything he was talking to this kid, I'm absorbing it like anything. I'm like, wow, this is crazy philosophy. So I went up and I said, where do you get this information? Who's your teacher? And he gave me that science of self-realization, and it really blew my mind, changed my life, And then he gave me a Bhagavad Gita, and then I was reading that. And he's like, yeah, this is spoken by God himself on a battlefield. I'm like, battlefield? What the hell's that all about? Just the way he explained everything, man, just, my life that had so many gaps in it, everything just consolidated and everything, it made a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And even today, whenever I get confused about life a little bit, crack open Bhagavad Gita, I read a little bit, I'm like, oh, we're good. That's where you go back for your tune-ups.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good way of looking at it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or like Prabhupada compares it to like a hospital, so or like a clinic or something you go in for a checkup, like so. Yeah.
Yeah. But real quick before we go on, like that hospital analogy, I love it. And you could take it even a step further about that hospital analogy. People sometimes see a religious process and they're like, yeah, but their leaders do this and yeah, they molest kids and they do this or this, like if it's talking about the Catholic Church or whatever.
Yeah.
But okay, the church, the mosque, the temple, whatever is the hospital. That's where sick people go to get better. But don't be foolish thinking that everybody in that hospital is free
Cured.
from disease. Yeah.
Right.
So there are still some sick individuals out there, doing messed up things. And, we don't condone that and we don't tolerate that. We find those people and weed them out, get them out of there. But, it's like, you know, don't give up on a religious process or, real yoga, if you will. Just be a part of the solution, not a part of the problem, and don't look at these people, the negative people, as reality. Those are the ones that should be getting weeded out.
Yeah, definitely. And SSR is such a great read. I know that they distribute a lot of those out and yeah, I mean those small books, man, were like kind of critical for me and like, you know, really just good at like putting a significant amount of information in like a small book, so that you can just, you know, read
Yeah.
it maybe in like a, less than 20 minutes, some of that short.
Yeah. I remember we were playing in New York City. John had already given me a couple of the books, and we were down, what is that? Down in the, what's the main strip there, right off Second Avenue? St. Mark's Place. So
Okay.
my band was playing. We were playing with Marauder that night at the Coney Island High, and I remember I'm sitting at the bar, and John tosses "On the Way to Krishna," one of those little books. It just lands right in front of me, and he's like, "Yo, enlighten yourself." Just the way he preached or like gave Krishna consciousness was so funny. That thick New York accent. yo, enlighten yourself, you know.
That's
So we
hilarious.
became really cool friends, and like I would go to New York and stay with him, and and he'd take me on his jobs, like he had this company called Shamrock Painting, and he would paint people's houses and stuff, interior apartments or whatever. So I'd go and help him paint, and and he'd order some Chinese vegan food, and take me down to the stores and the Indian grocery stores and show me what Chyawanprash was and all this Indian, you know, all this Indian medicine was, it was cool.
No,
But just the
no,
way
that's
he
great.
interacted with people was hilarious.
Sure. No, I mean that, and that's a great impersonation. I'm gonna have to bring that up whenever, because he's supposed to come on the show this month, probably like middle of the month or something like that. We're working on a date, so it'll. I'm gonna definitely drop that and be like, yo,
Well, we were
want to hear a
walking
good impersonation?
out of the health food store. We were in there and stuff, and we were walking out, and the owner of the store wasn't looking. He's like, "Oh, grab that case of water there." I go, "Oh, you paid for that?" He goes, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah. I paid for it." So I picked it up and I carried it. And we're walking down the sidewalk. We're about a block away, and he's like, "Yo, if you're gonna be a Hare Krishna, you gotta stop stealing, dude." And I was like, "What?" He goes, "Yeah, I didn't pay for that, but they owe me. I do a lot of stuff for them." It's so funny.
That's hilarious. That's funny as shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Harley Flanagan version of Cro-Mags are coming here with Helmet, so that should
Oh
be
yeah.
interesting. Yeah, it's in where is it? Asheville, North Carolina.
Hmm.
Yeah, I don't know, man. That's that's pretty damn funny. Um, adjust this mic here. Oh no, it doesn't want to adjust. There we go. Um, Today is an Akadashi, is it not?
That was yesterday.
Oh, it was yesterday.
Yeah, we had a
Goes to
big
show who was
Ekadasi
paying
feast
attention.
for Rath Yatra. We had a big Ekadasi feast, and then
Oh, nice,
we had a grain feast also for all the people that were at the festival that were just from town.
nice. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen that happen before where they do grain and Akadashi, but
Yeah.
ex explain to the people what Akadashi is, like what the function of it is.
Ekadasi, it's the 11th day after the waning moon, the 11th day before the waxing moon, I believe it's called. So on that day, you fast from beans and grains and eat more simply so that you can increase your devotional service. Yeah. So, and there's a whole story in the Vedas about why that is. Um, I can't remember. I can't remember exactly the one story I was thinking of. I wouldn't want to butcher it either, but basically, it's increase your devotional service. On those days, you chant more, read more, eat less, or eat more simple. You're not in the kitchen cooking a bunch of grains down. It's like just simple eating.
Yeah. No, I
It's
mean
an
it's
austerity, in every religious process. Austerity says in the Bhagavad Gita that one can never live happily in this life or on this planet. If we don't understand austerity or do austerity.
yeah, well, and to be a disciple, I mean that's it's the root word of discipline.
Yeah,
Or is it the other way around? I don't know. But I mean, like, disciple discipline. Like, so that means, like,
yeah,
if you're trying to be a, a follower of someone or something, you, you have to put in some, like, concerted effort to be able to do that.
yeah,
Um, because it's like, if you want to aid in, like, to go back to the hospital analogy, like, in the healing process, then you have to be able to, um, kind of do a little bit, like they don't give you like back surgery and then may like, okay, lay down, like you got to like get up and move a little bit and like walk around. So
yeah,
even with that, it's like, we I guess that's why we have regulative principles, because it's like, um, help us kind of stay focused on, following Krishna.
Yeah, our daily program should be 70% austerity, I think. It begins with rising in the morning, 4 a.m. Nobody wants to get up early. Everybody wants to sleep because it's comfort, and
Huh.
material world, and we're not meant to be comfortable, but we're meant to get in shape. Just like if you want to be strong, you do a workout, and even when you're not feeling it, you do it because you know it's best for you. So in that
Right.
same way, rise at 4 in the morning. And even in the wintertime, during the months of Mog, it's called Mog, that's December, January, where it's really cold, you still
What
shower.
language?
Yeah, that's
In what
Sanskrit.
language? Oh,
Yeah,
Sanskrit. Oh, okay.
yeah. So, you still take your shower in the months of Mog, in January, February, when it's really cold. And in the morning, nobody wants to shower when it's cold, but you do it. It's an austerity. In the summer season, you don't want to be in the kitchen cooking, it's all hot, but you do it. It's an austerity. You want to make nice offerings, and then, chanting on the beads. Nobody wants to take the time and zone out and tune in, or take the time to read. But you know that when you do, philosophically, you become strong. You become happy in your life.
Yeah,
Things that confuse you and bring us strife actually comfort you because your mind's situated properly.
it's
So
true.
that's what it's all about. Structuring your life in such a way that you're covered.
Yeah. Victoria Lynn says, Foos, have a great evening. Great interview.
Thank you, Victoria. The shea butter
Nice.
queen.
Um, what's that? That's funny. Um, to kind of come back down to a lower vibrational plane, I always ask this question of people, if there was one band you could wipe off the face of the planet, who would it be?
You want just to get rid of a band?
Uh,
So you're
I
asking me
would say
if
like
there's a band I
complete.
don't
I
like.
would say like complete eradication, but like maybe just disbanding of, like, call it quits type thing.
I don't know. I
I
don't
would
know.
say just shoot him into like an asteroid in space, but I mean that might be a little too like harsh for a guy
Yeah,
like you who's trying to like be like, yeah, be positive, do good things.
yeah. Shoot him off somewhere. Shoot him. Send him to Ethiopia. I don't know. It's Who would
No
you
idea.
send?
Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Yeah, give them away. Give it away.
Give you away. Shoot you into space.
Right.
Yeah, that's hilarious, man. Well, like what do you got to promote aside from the new One Life All In song?
What do we promote?
What else you got to promote?
Uh, no, like still like the Motivate Me book. This is what I'm, moving quite a bit nowadays.
Yeah.
People are ordering the book, motivational quotes that changed my life, and then stories that correlate with them. You're reading them. I, I, I really want. After you sent me that one chapter, the audio chapter, I'm just convinced that it needs to be on audio for people to hear because bottom line is people don't like to read. I mean, I like to read. There's some people that really like to read, but some people are interested and they want it, but they won't sit down and read it. But they'll cruise
Right.
around in their car or they'll be at work and listen to it. And you could listen to it in one day, like
Yeah.
just a matter
Yeah,
of hours.
man. I'm kind of with you on there. Like I read, but then there's times when I'm going on a long drive and it's like, yeah, audiobook, and then it's like, you hear something motivational and positive, and it's like, kind of puts you in a good headspace while you're on the road.
Yeah, and it holds your attention. Like I could listen literally like John Joseph's audiobook. I could listen to that whole book in one day, just listening to it while I'm working or whatever, or if I'm
Sure.
traveling. And it's a good book. It's a really good book because he's lived such an interesting life. But I love the idea of audiobooks, you know. I like listening to podcasts. I like listening to your podcast. I like Drew Stone's podcast. I like listening to Joe Rogan. You learn a lot about people over like a 2 or 3 hour episode where you're just hearing about them. You know, it's like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. No, it's
really
great.
cool.
I mean, and to be able to kind of reconnect and do these shows after some time has passed and kind of like reconnect and see where everybody's at and like what's going on creatively, like that's always kind of a
Yeah,
cool thing.
yeah, 100%. But you know, like just anymore, you know, I have all these bands that I've played in, you know, whether it's Lifeline, One Life All In, Foose, the Spud Monsters, even Dancing White Elephants. That was a project I did that was like really cool. It's like I know I still like doing these projects, and my main band is One Life All In, and it's kind of a shame that those guys live over in France and I'm here, and you know, I wish we could just get together and play stuff, and it wouldn't have to be such a yugya or a sacrifice, you know, to do.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, definitely.
it's gonna happen
In-
though. We're gonna get some stuff going here.
International projects, that's got to be challenging.
Yeah, but I love it.
Did you ever hear that band Narrows?
Where are they from?
They were from, uh, I think, New York and then Washington and I want to say California and then England.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it was like they were all over the place. And it was like members of Botch and what was that other band? They were like kind of like a super group. And
Oh,
yeah, but like just kind of interesting geographical, like they were all in like different spots.
yeah. Well, in the internet era, we could do that, you know. Like One Life All In has no problem like writing songs. We send stuff back and forth. Like they could send me a song in the morning, and by noon, I've written lyrics, sang it, and sent it back to them, and we can, you know, make some corrections here and there or changes, and we're fine. You know, we don't have
That's
to
true.
be in the same room anymore.
Right.
Yeah,
Um, Well, cool. I mean, it's like I said, it's always great to kind of touch base again and check in with people that grace us on the show
yeah,
earlier in the seasons. Um, so I'll be able to post all your links down here to, all projects, everything you got going on, the book, the band, and
cool.
people check it out and check out Victoria Lynn's the her line. What
Body
is it
butter.
again? Mang and kokum butter.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Shea Kokum blend, and then she's got the mango butter too. It's really good stuff.
There you go.
Pretty
Pick
cool.
some of that up, and she can post a link in the comments if she wants to.
Yeah, right.
Well, cool.
But hey,
And yeah,
listen to I don't know if you heard that they're doing Drew Stone's doing a show for HR, a HR benefits show. I think it's June 22nd at the Bowery Electric. Double check, but I think you could go on Drew Stone's Facebook page, and I think the flyers on there. But there's going to be Incendiary Device and a couple other bands, and then a bunch of musicians playing Bad Brain songs, raising money for HR. I think it's a great cause.
nice.
So, you know, for what HR has done for the music scene, I think it's really cool that they're raising money for him. You know, his health is really bad right now, and so many people need help nowadays. Like we lost another brother from
Oh
Leeway,
yeah,
you know,
Eddie
Eddie
Sutton.
Sutton, and
Yeah.
then just before that, you know, they lost other guitarist. You know, so I mean, it's crazy as we get older. People are dropping left and right and getting sick, and we gotta help each other out.
Oh man, definitely. Yeah. All right. Okay. So official merchandise, hellsheartco.bigcartel.com. Use code 20 for 20% off your entire order. Everybody like, comment, share, subscribe, click on the little bell for notifications. Um, Don Foose, man, like this has been awesome. Again, it's always great to like I said, touch base and hear some more of your stories, brother. So thank you for coming, and you're
Great,
always
great
welcome here.
seeing you, Ganagam Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Absolutely. Yeah, and like I said, everybody, do all what I said. The like, comment, share, subscribe, and also namaste, job bless, be good.